money for this location. And when asked, the director answered that he was not given a single reason why they chose this location. Not by the governor, not by the cabinet. And water has to be trucked into this facility. No running pipes. It makes no sense that this is here. And no ICE detainees have even been deported yet from this facility. We're in day 10. They have to be deported within 14 days. And so one can't help but understand and conclude that this is a total, cruel political stunt meant to have a spectacle of political theater, and it's wasting taxpayer dollars.
Congressman Darren Soto there. We also heard from Debbie Wasserman Schultz before that, Saturday after their visit at Alligator Alcatraz. We appreciate you joining us today here on Florida Live. We'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow with more. Have a good one.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is 4 o'clock. That means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories in the Fox 35 newsroom today. And joining me for today's Top 4 at 4 is Fox 35 News anchor LuAnne Sorrell. And LuAnne, thanks for joining us. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. Good to be here.
So we're going to start with a story out of the White House, where President Trump had some strong words today for Russia.
Yes.
And announced a weapons deal with NATO as well.
Right. It sounds like President Trump is really losing his patience with Putin at this point. It sounds like he's at his wit's end. He says that Putin now has 50 days to secure a peace agreement with Ukraine, or he's going to up the tariffs on Ukraine to 100%. He also said that he is selling billions of dollars worth of U.S. arms to NATO so that they can get those arms to Ukraine quickly. As you know, this isn't about face for the president. He said he wasn't going to give Ukraine any more arms, but I guess going through NATO and having NATO give them to Ukraine is a workaround. But billions of dollars worth of weapons, it sounds like Trump has kind of flipped the script. He was kind of working with Putin there for a while, and it sounds like he's done. He's not getting what he wants. He's on Ukraine's side now. Yeah,
one of the things he said today was that he said that they felt like they had deals worked out with Putin 4 times, but nothing came of it. And so what he said today in the Oval Office is that he's, quote, disappointed with Putin.
We are very unhappy, I am, with Russia, but we'll discuss that maybe a different day. But we're very, very unhappy with them, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple.
So starting with that kind of pressure campaign on
Right.
Putin, and we'll see where things go.
Absolutely.
Story number 2, and this is a tragedy out of Massachusetts, the news that I think a lot of folks woke up to this morning
Yeah.
about this fire at an assisted living facility.
Yeah, just heartbreaking when you hear the details about this one. It happened in Fall River, Massachusetts, around 9:50 last night. A fire broke out at this assisted living facility. We now know that 9 people are dead and at least 30 others are injured. 5 firefighters were also injured fighting this blaze. They called about 50 of them out. A bunch of them were off duty. They just showed up to this. It's a small community, so word travels fast. They showed up to this facility. They said they saw senior citizens hanging out of windows, screaming for help. But yeah, just a tragic situation. As we said, 9 dead, at least 30 injured. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
We did have the chance today to hear from some of the survivors who were able to get out of there, and here's some of what they said.
I really thought I was going to die. I thought I would because I thought there was no way out. It was filled with smoke. I went into the bathroom filled with smoke. I opened the window as far as I could, and then I hung out the window yelling, "Help, help, second floor."
It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, people running out everywhere, people stopping and trying to help, but the first responders were.
Terrifying situation.
Awful, yeah.
Story number 3, and Stephan Sterns in court today. We learned he's not going to be handcuffed, but he will be wearing a couple of other restraints.
Right. It's really interesting. A pretrial hearing happened today. The trial's set to start next week. This is not the murder trial for Maddie Soto. This is the 60 sex crime charges Sterns is facing for allegedly sexually abusing Maddie over multiple years. So we learned in court today that typically inmates can wear a suit, but they have some type of like restraining device, an ankle like thing they can zap you or something. He said, yeah, we won't have, Sterns restrained visibly, but we're going to have a larger leg brace on him. I think it does have maybe some type of shocking device on there. I don't know if it's going to be under the table if he'll be restrained, but it's not going to be visible, they said to the jury.
Yeah, so it's two separate things. One of them is this leg brace, they called it. It basically holds, it's kind of a longer thing, as the court deputy described it, and it will kind of hold his legs there, and then if he stands up, it will lock in place to make it to where he can't move. The other thing is that stun cuff that we hear about that would allow, it's basically a remote control, almost like a shock collar for a dog. You could kind of think of it as that, but it would be a stun cuff that he would wear around ankle or lower leg. And actually in court today, and I've got this soundbite here, in court today, one of the court deputies testified and actually explained how that works. Here's what he said.
So essentially, this is a stun cuff that's wrapped around a inmate's ankle and is tucked away under the clothing. There are 2 metal pieces here that is close to the subject's skin, and the strap is placed accordingly and wrapped not tightly but snug that it won't fall off. The remote is this right here, which is kept at all times with a deputy within the courtroom. Nobody knows who has it. It's hidden. So to activate this cuff, it's a 2-step process. There's on, and then there's fire. So the device won't accidentally fire on itself. It has to have a 2-step button to fire the device.
One of the other things that they talked about was a pin. Yeah. Because defendants often will take notes or be able to pass notes. One of the things that they were discussing was one of those like kind of flexible pins. He is going to be allowed to use a kind of regular felt tip pin.
I also thought it was interesting that the judge ruled that the newspapers will be removed from the courtroom because his attorneys were arguing that, people can see the headlines. He'll probably be in the headlines. They don't want the jurors to see that. So all newspapers will be removed from the courtroom. And then they're also telling the media they can't zoom in on any of the notes on his attorney's paperwork while they're sitting at the table. Which is usually the case, but they said there's a lot of like social media sleuths that are going to be in the courtroom, so they want them to follow the same rules as the media does.
Right, that's a good point, because this is a case that's gotten a lot of attention from kind of true crime corners of the internet, YouTube, podcasts, all those kinds of things. And so they said a lot of those folks are expected to be there, and they just want to make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page. One other thing that they talked about, long hearing today, kind of going through these different things, was some of the evidence and ways to show the jury some evidence without others seeing, because we know some of what we are expecting to be at the center of this case based on those charges, the sexual battery, the evidence found from the phone and things like that. So just another topic there.
Was that the TVs? I saw they're bringing in TVs.
They were talking about the
so
TVs,
they can just show the jury
and the
not show
whiteboard.
everybody the disturbing videos and pictures that he had on his phone.
Right, and they trying to limit that as much as they can.
That makes sense.
We will be streaming that trial once the opening statements begin. Jury selection scheduled for Tuesday, hoping those opening statements begin by Friday. But we'll have full coverage of that here on Fox Local. And finally, to wrap up our top four at fourth, City of Orlando moving forward today, taking a step forward when it comes to the building of the Pulse Memorial.
Yeah, 9 years after that tragedy, we're still waiting to have a Pulse Memorial there in Orlando. It sounds like we're finally moving forward. There was a meeting today, a city council meeting, where they were voting on a company who could actually start construction. These are the renderings we've seen of what the city council wants to do with that spot. But they're voting on a contract with a company to at least talk about moving forward with this memorial. And then also interesting, they want to buy a piece of land that's right behind the Pulse Memorial. I don't know if you guys, Garrett, heard, I know the meeting started around 2. Did you hear what they want to use that piece of land for?
So our understanding is that kind of adjoining land is to be used for parking and kind of almost like a visitor's center, as I understand it.
Okay.
So kind of almost like an extension of that Pulse Memorial.
It almost sounds
right,
like.
exactly. And so the memorial is going to be, once they tear down that the nightclub building, it will kind of largely be there. But this will kind of give them a little bit more room for parking and kind of a visitor's facility. But that purchase has created a little bit of controversy. We heard earlier today from a group that said they believe this is a conflict of interest with the purchase of that land. They want more transparency with that deal. They wanted more than just it to be passed on as part of the consent agenda. They wanted some more discussion about it. And so we did hear some of those concerns addressed today. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth had the chance to speak with Commissioner Shan Rose before that meeting. She responded to some of those concerns, and then we also heard from Buddy Dyer during the meeting.
No one's financially benefiting. I think that's the key part of this. Yeah. No one is financially benefiting off this site, right? So if you purchase something and I say, I got you, we got to work this all out and figure it all out, that's literally what happened. So it was purchased, you purchased it, right? You purchased it for exactly $1 million. The city said we would not pay $1 over, and literally it was valued at more, and that's all in the agenda item, that it was valued at 1.25. I don't know, but I'm not sure of the detail, I'm not sure the logistics of that. It was purchased, the promise was made that it wouldn't cost the taxpayers more than what the property was purchased for. They purchased the property, and the city is purchasing it back to do the memorial at the same price that it was purchased at.
Today we take 2 more steps in recognizing what happened that day. I also want to recognize and thank Craig Mateer with RMS Investments. You'll recall, commissioners, that when one Pulse was dissolving, we prioritized the purchase of the actual Pulse property from the Palmas. We did that to move forward, and we knew it was a small parcel and that there would probably be challenges if we didn't have the property that was adjacent to that, which one Pulse had in fact purchased and was trying to sell at the time. We asked Craig to step in and purchase that and hold that property for us. He did so, and he's selling it to us. We'll act on that today for the exact same price that he bought it from one Pulse.
So $1 million, as you heard there, the purchase price of that. which is what it was purchased for a couple of years ago. According to the city, they say that land is actually appraised at $1.3 million.
Yeah. It'll be nice, though, for the victims and the families to have a place to eventually go and mourn their loved ones and, remember what happened there. So I'm glad to see the balls starting to roll on this.
It's a shame it's taken so long,
Right.
but construction expected to begin right around the 10-year anniversary,
Okay.
so June of next year, and then the hope is for it to be completed by the end of calendar year 2027.
Oh.
So still some processes to
Right.
go through, but like you said, moving forward
Yes.
after all this time. LuAnne, we appreciate you joining us
Sure.
for today's Top 4 at 4. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer joins me now. And TJ, Fox 35 weather impact day today. And also, we know that the disturbance in the Gulf has now been identified as an invest.
Yeah, Garrett, I feel like this is kind of just the beginning. Sadly, I know we had some rain around over the weekend, but we've continued to see this thing organized more, and it looks like that's going to be the trend as we progress through the rest of our Monday and right into the day tomorrow.
Now, take us through this a little bit and kind of what's going on with it. And first of all, for those who may not be familiar, when they hear Invest 93L, just kind of break that down for us first and what to know about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so really what invest means, it just means an investigation, so to speak. So this means that the National Hurricane Center is really watching this cluster of showers and thunderstorms closely. It now means that we can run our tropical model data that we can get, because we have a huge model suite that we can look at. But when we're monitoring tropical disturbances, we have special hurricane data or tropical data that we can look at. And this is now allowing us to do so. And it also means that the hurricane hunters can go gather more information, fly into the strongest showers and thunderstorms around the center of this area of low pressure and start to gather more data that can in turn go back and feed these tropical models. That's really what it means when we talk about an invest. And a 93L, this is the one that has now been designated offshore of our East Coast here in Central Florida, and this is what we're going to continue to monitor. You can see a lot of the data shows this eventually working up into the deep south or southeast and getting picked back up with the help of the jet stream moving back into the Atlantic as we progress throughout the next 7 days. But certainly showing more showers and thunderstorms now offshore. It's slowly organizing. We are expecting gradual development little by little. Now, there is some potential that even tonight or into the wee hours of our Tuesday, that because of this disturbance being over the Gulf Stream, that's the really warm water just offshore to our east, this potentially could become a depression. But at least right now, per the National Hurricane Center, there's a 20% chance of development over the next couple of days, a 30% chance over the next week. But either way, whether this becomes a depression close to us or not, or it forms and organizes more so in the Gulf, we're going to see tropical rain, flooding rain, a potential or a possibility as we progress through not just today, but into tomorrow and early Wednesday as well. You can see the water temperatures in the mid to even upper 80s in some spots, especially in the Gulf, and that's just fuel for this disturbance. Now, Invest 93L to feed off of as we progress through the day tomorrow into Wednesday. It looks like it's going to reemerge in the Gulf early Wednesday, and that's when we're going to have to watch it, because as it's working little by little to the northwest, it's going to move over that warm Gulf water and potentially organize more. Chantal, we had that slower movement. It hung out over the Gulf Stream longer, and it was able to strengthen a bit more so. So that's what we're going to be watching. It could become Tropical Storm Dexter as we progress through the remainder of our week. Now, this has been an update. This is the depression potential, and now you see almost a likelihood. This is a blend of data that we look at, and this gives us a better handle on how a storm system may behave. And you can see the lighter shades of green and that almost orange color. That's around a 60 to 70% chance of a depression as we head through the remainder of the week. So it looks like, at least at the minimum, we will see depression, but we could be seeing Tropical Storm Dexter as we progress through the rest of our work week. And that could really bring some rougher conditions out to the Gulf Coast of, say, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. That's what we're going to have to watch closely. Where exactly does this go as it moves westbound over the peninsula and up into the Gulf? We've already had Andrea, Barry, and Chantal. Again, this would be Dexter if it can organize enough and strengthen into a tropical storm. Still some outliers in that regard, but either way, heavy rain and the potential for some amounts to maybe get over 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. Some spots might not even pick up an inch. It just depends on who gets in on one of those heavy rain bands, who sees a strong thunderstorm, because that really can make or break situations like this, where someone could be seeing flooding, others might not be getting much rain at all at their house. So that's what we're going to be monitoring over the next few days. There's the center of circulation. A lot of showers and thunderstorms now have already ignited across the I-4 corridor, across Central Florida as a whole, using our exclusive Fox 35 storm tracker radar in Bithlo and Eastern Orange County. We can see showers and thunderstorms here. I actually had a couple of warnings around too. So gusty wind, torrential rain, frequent lightning, all possible here. Around 1,000 strikes within just about the last half hour. So definitely something to monitor. You can see there in portions of Lake County and now Orange County and Seminole County, we're seeing some of these heavier bursts of rain and thunderstorms, and that goes from Marion County and portions of Sumter County as well, from Leesburg up to the Villages, seeing some of this heavy rain and thunderstorm activity around Ocala as well. So you'll definitely need to get the windshield wipers on. You'll likely have some pretty tough conditions on that evening commute home, and a couple of storms, as we've already seen, could turn severe. We have this low-end threat, a possibility that a couple of storms could include some gusty wind as we progress through the remainder of our day. Now, the other concern is the flooding. You can see here in the yellow, that's essentially the entire region, and a slight risk of flash flooding because of the tropical moisture that we have in the atmosphere today and tomorrow as we head through Tuesday into Tuesday night. Now, temperatures right now, because of some of the rain, have dropped off. Only 82 in Leesburg, 79 in Claremont, but it's still 91 for those of you in Sanford. We're going to see these scattered showers and thunderstorms through the night. I think as the area of low pressure offshore, as that invest works inland, early tomorrow we'll start to see more coverage of showers and thunderstorms for our Tuesday. I don't think it'll necessarily be a washout, but we will see more numerous showers and thunderstorms for our Tuesday, with that area of low pressure likely right overhead, and then working west of Orlando as we head into the day on Wednesday. Now, 4 o'clock, we can see this is our Fox weather model here, and as we progress through the remainder of our evening, we can definitely see that potential for more showers and thunderstorms. And this is going to be the case. Scattered hit or miss showers and thunderstorms through the remainder of our evening through dinner time, finally starting to diminish some before starting to perk back up as we head through early tomorrow. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, so past the morning commute, at least for most of us, we can see these hit or miss showers and thunderstorms starting to work in from the east, moving westbound, kind of working around that center of circulation. And you can see these through dinner time tomorrow, then working offshore into the Gulf as we head into our Wednesday. I think Wednesday morning looks a little drier. Wednesday afternoon looks a little more wet because we have that southeast or so onshore flow working around that circulation out in the Gulf. Now tomorrow you can see that risk does shift a little bit, but either way, essentially the entirety of the Fox 35 viewing area right up into our Fox 51 neighborhoods are under this slight risk of flooding, flash flooding that is. So that means low-lying areas, even some spots on some roadways that are maybe are more flood prone. That's where we're going to see that potential for flooding on our Tuesday as well, especially if you get in on some of this heavy rain. Now our Fox 35 Storm Team 7-day forecast does show temperatures back up into the low 90s, a little cooler than normal because of all the clouds and the moisture. But then finally, this pattern starts to break, and it's looking like, Garrett, as we head through Friday into the weekend, still rain chances, but the more typical rain chances. Afternoon storms with the help of the sea breeze, nothing tropical likely as we head through the latter half of the week. And I'm just going to say this, gotta love technology. I think my headphones, my AirPods died, so Garrett, I have my phone pulled up, so I hope I can hear you talk, but I don't know if it'll impact the show or not talking over the mic.
No, you sound fine there. We can hear you. I appreciate that. We will go ahead and wrap this up, TJ. I appreciate you joining us, breaking that down for us, because here's the thing. Even though that's not forming into something until it's kind of passed, still be aware of that rain threat, even though we're not going to necessarily be dealing with the wind impacts.
Yeah, thankfully, I think tomorrow, Garrett, we could have some stronger wind as that area of low pressure starts to work onshore. So okay. I think, the Space Coast, Volusia County, Brevard County, down to the south, there could be some stronger gusts. But even that, thankfully, only around maybe 20 to 30 miles per hour. But I'd say the rain certainly looks to be the big headline for us here, at least across Central Florida.
All right, Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It was quite a scene in Alachua County as a deputy there helped a trapper get a gator out of a pool. This happened at the Gainesville Golf and Country Club, Deputy Alfred Robertson is the deputy's name. He was able to help that trapper, ended up snapping a picture with the gator as well. And just a little bit ago, he spoke with Fox 35 executive producer Adam Preston.
It was just ASO received a call about a gator trespassing at the Gainesville Golf and Country Club, and it was relaxing in the pool. So we get dispatched out there with the trapper. We arrive at the same time. And so we approach stealthily to the pool area, and we saw the gator. I gave him commands to stop, and he took off, went in the pool, submerged himself. But I was able to talk him to give himself up. So we were able to corral the gator, get a catch rope, and then the trapper was able to put some tape around his mouth. And then, I told the gator if he let us take some pictures, we wouldn't charge him criminally, and he agreed to do that.
I love the humor in it and all. It's gotta be fun, right? Having a bit of a different call out and getting a bit of a different feel for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a fun call.
Tell me about the size of it. Tell me your experience with wrangling gators. How does that all come into play?
It was about a little over 6 foot, and I've caught a couple gators while on patrol over the years, but nothing this size. So thankfully the trapper was there, and he instructed me what to do. So we were able to catch the gator without harming it, and it got relocated.
Are you aware of where the gator's going? What's sort of happening to it now that you were able to get it removed
The
safely?
trapper said he was taking it to a gator farm, but he didn't say which one. No.
Makes sense. That's kind of what we tend to hear when these situations happen. Were a bunch of people around? Anyone sort of spooked by it, or was it sort of just
No,
business
so
as
the
usual?
Golf and Country Club is temporarily closed right now, so there was nobody around, just us.
As far as gators in the area, is it common to see them sort of wandering around up in your county?
Yeah, it's very common to see them wandering around. Yeah, the gators that I usually encounter, they're not aggressive. If you get close to them and corner them or something, they're going to protect themselves. But unless they got a nest or some babies or something, they're not aggressive.
Well, as a deputy in Florida, you gotta have some experience with these unusual calls.
Oh, yeah. So, I've dealt with water buffaloes getting loose, deer getting hit, bears. They actually had a bear this morning that got hit by a car.
There's always wildlife to watch out for here in Florida, that's for sure. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. Two stories we want to bring you out of Brevard County, and so we're going to go ahead and check in with Fox 35's Esther Bauer, who joins us live now via Zoom. And Esther, the first thing we want to talk about here is a Renaissance fair in Brevard County going to be leaving Brevard County. What's the situation there?
Yeah, so it's called the Brevard Renaissance Fair. It looks like they're going to have to be changing their name because this event that has been going on the Space Coast for 10 years, starting its 11th year, just announced on social media they're taking their business somewhere else. This fair, like we said, a decade has been happening, has just been growing. They've had thousands and thousands of people come out. So a couple years ago, they outgrew their space. They were at a park in Melbourne. And ultimately, it's a county-run park within the city of Melbourne. County commissioners said, we don't want this happening at Wickham Park anymore. So city of Melbourne said, we love the event. Let's try to find another spot for it. So they moved it off by Sorrell and Wickham. There's a landfill. It's owned by the waste management facility, but right near the landfill, there is open space. And so things were full steam ahead to get this fair up and running at a new site. Like we said, it started with them. Well, now we're learning there is a lot of tension between the city of Melbourne, Brevard County, and the Brevard Renaissance Fair, so much so that the fair says they are taking the Brevard Renaissance Fair out of Brevard County. There's a lot of stuff being shared on social media, and both sides are kind of back and forth with who was in the wrong, why did this happen? What the organizer is saying, there's way too many stipulations and rules and things they have to follow for a large-scale event that it just made doing business in the county near impossible. And what the city and county are saying is a massive structure that they built, which are these like castle walls. That's kind of their staple for the fair. It's usually a thing that they put up at the park and then they bring down. Well, they built this structure that they wanted to stay, but it was out of compliance with safety code. We're talking about hurricane rating. We're talking about fire code. All of these things and the structure that they built were not up to par safety wise. And so they ultimately said, you need to get in compliance or we're not going to let you do the fair. Organizers said it would cost upwards of $50,000 to redesign, re-engineer this castle, which they didn't think was any kind of hazard. And they said, we're only on a 1-year lease. So we're not going to pay all this money for 1 year when you could shuffle us somewhere else. County also said they're about $20,000 in back rent that they haven't paid. We asked the organizer about that, and he said, yes, I haven't paid my rent because when you told me I can't have my events, I don't have money coming in, so I'm not going to pay the rent. So just a lot of drama. It ultimately affects Brevard County residents because people from all over flock to this event for more than 10 years, and now we're seeing it move elsewhere. We did ask the organizer, where are you going? They're not willing to share just yet, but they did say they will be staying in Central Florida. But just a developing situation. County, city of Melbourne say it's just not in compliance. Fair organizer said the rules are too stiff. So we will see what ends up happening.
All right, certainly something to watch there. Meanwhile, Esther, we also know that you're following up on Titusville police searching for the thieves of a landscape trailer.
Yeah, TPD is actively working this case. Happened on Saturday morning around 11 a.m. So not in the overnight hours, but a local father owns a landscaping company. He was alerted to his neighbor knocking on his door, watching his trailer being taken out of this apartment complex. So they are right now trying to find who's responsible. It's not just the trailer, but all of the commercial grade equipment. About $15,000 worth was on that trailer and is now gone. So the father is out of a job, trying to reschedule with clients, but really struggling because losing $15,000 in a few minutes is a major blow to anyone. He said he's lived at this apartment for about a year, never had problems, never felt like his trailer wasn't safe, also had it locked up with multiple locks. So he says either the thieves use saws to cut off all my lock systems or they have the strongest bolt cutters around and they cut everything off. So he's trying to get his story out there with hopes anyone can see this trailer or missing equipment. He lives right by I-95 though, which is hard because it's very easy for the alleged thieves to steal the trailer, hook it up to their car and get on the interstate. Neighbors did say they are looking for not a truck, but it's a black or brown car that was able to get this trailer onto its back of the vehicle and get out of town. We do know TPD has seen it on surveillance. They were able to pull the license plate from a previous trip that the landscaper had taken. So they have the plate. They're just going to be going through statewide cameras and trying to match that plate with where the trailer is now. Hoping this father can get back to King, but it is not the first Central Florida landscaper that's been targeted in a recent theft. We had another landscaper just a few weeks ago that also had their trailer stolen. A fabulous Fox 35 viewer stepped in to help in that situation, but now we're seeing a repeat affecting someone else.
Oh, gosh, and not certainly a troubling trend, and your heart goes out to that local father who now struggling with that, and hopefully police will be able to track down those thieves very soon and those things they stole. Fox 35's Esther Bauer, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon live from Brevard County.
Absolutely. We'll talk with you soon.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. Mike Waltz is scheduled to be in front of a Senate panel tomorrow. He is a former Central Florida congressman and also former national security advisor for President Trump, but spent only about 5 months in that role before he was removed following the Signalgate scandal. You may remember where a journalist was added to a group chat with the national security advisor, with the Secretary of Defense, with the Secretary of State, several others, discussing upcoming military operations in effect. And so that led to a bit of a scandal. Mike Waltz was removed from that, and he has now been nominated for the U.S. ambassador for the United Nations. And so we expect the confirmation hearing tomorrow to be, well, fiery in some ways, as we know that the Democrats will have a lot of questions for Mike Waltz when it comes to that scandal. This afternoon, I spoke with John Hanley, who is a UCF political science lecturer. He broke down what we can expect in that hearing tomorrow.
Well, I think, the first thing we're going to see is criticism and an inquiry about what happened, which caused him to leave his previous position as National Security Advisor, where he was communicating about U.S. military operations using a group chat and had unknowingly added a journalist to the group. So, looking for more details on that and, seeking some assurances about his, what he's learned about, communicating about public, issues.
One of the Democrats on this panel, back when this nomination was announced, said it is going to be a brutal confirmation hearing for him. Do you think time has maybe kind of helped that a little bit, or do you think it will be brutal?
I think, the Democrats will have opportunity to land some punches, ask whether Waltz has, the judgment to serve in this position, whether he should have another, position with some responsibility. On the other hand, yeah, it has been a few months. The scandal has lost much of its sting, and Waltz has had plenty of time to develop responses to the questions and attacks he's likely to face. So it may disappoint from that perspective.
How do you think he responds?
I think, one strategy that we've seen in hearings is to come back very aggressively, and to, present a muscular defense of his actions, the Trump administration. Those are some tactics that we've seen. Most famously in the Brett Kavanaugh hearing for the Supreme Court. So we could see him come out and really go on the attack. On the other hand, you could say that this is a midsummer hearing. The Trump administration has gotten itself into a lot of situations internationally, and so maybe this isn't the best position and the best time to be making a lot of news in a hearing for a position like UN ambassador.
Surprising at all that Waltz would be nominated for something like this, knowing that these questions would come up and obviously be a big focus of this hearing as expected tomorrow?
Well, it was a sensitive topic when President Trump moved to nominate Waltz to this position. There was a lot of pressure, some on Waltz, but also a lot on Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And I think one of the things that motivated moving Waltz to the United Nations was to make some sort of concession to the scandal and an attempt to move past it by moving him out of national security and into UN ambassador. So I think that's in the background. The question is, how much intent is there still for the Trump administration to have Waltz serve? How far has he dropped in the administration ranks, considering that it has been over 2 months now? On the one hand, he can use the hearings and his position at the UN to recover that standing. On the other hand, there's another scenario that says that this guy was on his way out and he'll just continue to be on his way to less influence. And so this might be a quieter and less impressive hearing.
Is there any chance Republicans break rank and maybe, kind of oppose Waltz, or maybe take a little bit of a more antagonistic line of questioning against him? Or do you think they close ranks and defend him in this hearing?
Well, I think, there might be some criticism that's levied, but I don't think that Republican senators will go quite to the position of saying that he shouldn't have this position, that he shouldn't have a second shot. As far as, positions within the executive branch go, especially in a Republican administration, United Nations ambassador is not seen as as one of the more critical ones. It's largely a position for a Republican administration to criticize the United Nations, to criticize and step back from international commitments, and so this can be a position for someone who's a bit of a bomb thrower, or an antagonist, to go in and do things like that. This is not a critical position at one of the intelligence agencies or Department of Defense, where they might be more critical of someone who lost their last job in such a way as Waltz did. So I wouldn't anticipate too much heavy criticism from Republicans on the committee. Maybe some gentle reprimands, but probably not going as far as that, and very unlikely to be taking the side of the Democrats.
So we will be watching that hearing closely tomorrow. In fact, we will be streaming it live here on Fox Local and on fox35orlando.com. That hearing in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. On Capitol Hill. We are going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but keep it right here. We will be right back after this. As we go to break, I'm going to give you a view right here from our roof in the Fox 35 studios in Lake Mary, hearing some rumbles of thunder out there, some storms in the area on this Fox 35 Impact Day. So keep it right here. More to come after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We have some interesting news surrounding the Tampa Bay Rays this afternoon. I want to pull this up for you on Twitter. Give me 1 second there. All right, there we go. This is from MLB on Fox. They are actually citing reporting from Evan Drellick of The Athletic, reporting that Patrick Zalewski, the Jacksonville developer who we knew had a a letter of intent to purchase the Tampa Bay Rays from Stu Sternberg. According to The Athletic, they say that this sale is for about $1.7 billion. It's been agreed to in principle. And The Athletic also reporting that sale is expected to be completed as soon as September. So that is some big news there, as well as the fact that Zalupski, the developer, says he plans to keep the team in the Tampa Bay area with a strong preference to be in Tampa rather than St. Petersburg. So something that we have been monitoring since that news first broke of this new investment group led by Zalupski, that developer from Jacksonville, and we will continue to try to confirm some of that on our own end here. But again, that is big news. If you may remember, it was, I guess, last month when Sportico first reported that Zalupski's group was in these talks with Stu Sternberg, that the Tampa Bay Rays put out a statement confirming that they were in exclusive conversations and advanced talks with this group to sell the team. And so certainly not great news for the Orlando Dreamers and their push. And we learned today that they have leased some office space in downtown Orlando. They have maintained that they are still trying to bring Major League Baseball to Orlando, even without relocating the Rays here to Orlando. So we're still monitoring that situation. Again, $1.7 billion deal that's expected to be finalized by September, according to The Athletic, and keeping that team in the Tampa Bay area, and specifically with a preference for Tampa Bay over St. Pete. I want to go ahead and get you now to Capitol Hill, where just a few minutes ago we heard from several lawmakers there, who members of Congress, I should say, who held a news conference talking about political violence, as we just yesterday marked the first anniversary of the assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania during that rally. So several members of Congress spoke today about that, about rising threats when it comes to political violence. They're also advocating for a resolution to condemn hate speech and prevent political violence. Here's those members of Congress just a little bit ago.
Now, in my lifetime, there's three things that come to mind as I stood up here. I was one of the last people to shake the hands of John Kennedy on November 22nd, 1963, as a 15-year-old. I shook his hand at 10:46 in the morning. At 12:46, he was assassinated. I remember that like it was yesterday. Rhetoric brought that to be. I also remember the baseball shooting. Some of you may remember that. Many of us, our lives were changed that day because of rhetoric. And I remember that day everybody wanted to pray for us and offer thanks or offer their prayers. But it wasn't 24 hours later. And Mike, so let's keep America great. Let's again pray for President Trump, pray for his safety and all my colleagues' safety. In God we trust.
Thank you, Mike and August, for having this event today, to just remind us all that, you know, despite what happened a year ago to President Trump, and I believe that the Lord spared President Trump's life in that field there in Butler, Pennsylvania, but in spite of that, he remained in the presidential race. He carried on because of his love for our country and the encouragement of the American people. Sadly, we have reached a point in political discourse in this country where President Trump and every politician must have the courage to speak our political beliefs while knowing that at any point our lives can be in danger. Just like we saw in Minnesota, just like Congressman Miller mentioned, I too was met on an airplane, met by the police because there was a deranged man who was a former San Francisco police officer that was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, looking for me. And I know that every one of us probably have a story similar to that. And I remember Congressman Kelly back in 2010, during the Tea Party election. Passions were high, but we didn't see the hate speech and the political violence that we see today. We have got to stop it on both sides. In fact, I know every one of us up here would always condemn anybody on our side of the aisle that was performing a political any political violence, any sort of hate speech, because we will not tolerate it from either side of the aisle. And I believe that the left needs to do the same thing, that they need to condemn political violence. They need to condemn hate speech. just as much as what we do, but to them, their side continues to behave differently. And heaven forbid that it happens from either side. But we continue to see it coming from the left side of the aisle. But I tell you what, as Americans, we have a great opportunity. As we elect our leaders, we need to continue to make sure that we as leaders are responsible in our rhetoric. But I just appreciate President Trump standing up, even though he was almost killed that day, that he continued to fight for Americans and standing for not only our democracy, but for our Constitution and our great republic. So Mike, thank you for leading this today, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So you've heard from us. I want to share something with you that has nothing to do with a political entity. I was at a celebration of life with the Comptor family yesterday. Just for a moment, step out of whom you are and think about them. On the morning, Corey, his wife Helen, his two daughters were so excited to be able to travel a short distance to the Butler Farm Show to see President Trump speak. This was Corey's idol. This was Helen's idol. This was the girls' idol. They just couldn't wait to get to Butler to see President Trump. The four of them get in their car. They make their way over. It's like 97 degrees that day.
Member of Congress there telling the story of the final moments of the man who was killed during that rally as they mark the one-year anniversary of that assassination attempt on Trump's life and rising political violence. Seeing rain and storms come down across our area here in Central Florida. Going to go ahead and send things off to Studio B, where John and LuAnne are getting ready for the start of Fox 35 News at 5. Noah Berggren going to have your forecast in just a few seconds as well, right here on Fox Local.